What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Insanity Network YouTube page. I am Mike Rifkin. We don't usually do this. We don't usually do this. We usually do not do a post-game show for the Thursday Night Football. What happens is we will recap it Sunday morning as part of the Sideline Report, which you will still catch Sunday morning. I want to react to this game tonight between the Dolphins and the Ravens. As a Dolphins fan, I'm gonna be as objective as I can be. I'm going to tell both sides, but I am going to lean way more into the Dolphins side than I am the Baltimore Ravens. As I mentioned, the Ravens win this game 28-6. Look, Lamar came back and he was Lamar. 18 of 23, 204 yards, 4 touchdown passes. All to tight end, or 2 to Mark Andrews, 1 to Charlie Kohler, 1 to Rashad Bateman. Derrick Henry got over 100 yards. That happened late in the game. Zay Flowers, 5 for 64. 5 catches, 64 yards for the Dolphins. 2 of 25 for 261 and a pick. Devon Achane, 67 rushing yards. Jalen Wall, 6 catches, 82 yards. There's a couple of things to take away. Look, Lamar came back into the lineup for Baltimore, and he was phenomenal. He looked like Lamar. And if you're a Raven fan, you now go to 3-5, and if Pittsburgh loses on Sunday to the Indianapolis Colts, which could very well happen, all of a sudden you're a game out of the division. So congrats to Baltimore on that, because right now I don't trust the Pittsburgh Steelers as much as I could throw them. Raven defense played really well. They forced 3 turnovers, had a couple of sacks on Tua, didn't really give up many big explosive plays. And look, all the credit to the Ravens. That's why they're a championship caliber football team. I'm going to lean into the Dolphins hard. This is Halloween season, so the famous saying is trick or treat. Dolphins fans were treated the first 2 years of the Mike McDaniel era. Playoffs back-to-back years. Things looked on the upswing. Last year and this year, the Dolphin fan has been tricked. And they've been tricked into thinking this team could compete in the AFC, and it just straight up can't. They can't. They're not good enough. Tua's big thing when he was coming out of college was 2 things. Extremely accurate with the ball, and he didn't turn the ball over. There was 11th pick tonight. There was 11th interception of the season tonight. The only quarterback that's pretty close is Geno Smith, and he's captain turnover. And, Herb Street, Michaels and Herb Street were great on the broadcast, as they always are. And they talked about the absence of Tyreek Hill and how that hurts this offense. And I'm sorry, I can't anymore. I can't defend this team. One, they don't deserve defending. And that sounds really mean. I get it. But they don't. This organization is in the worst possible place. It is an awful organization top to bottom. They don't know what they're doing from the top down. Every week it's the same problems. And they just can't put 2 things together at once. You take 1 step forward, then it's 2 steps back. And I've got to tell you, I'm done. Mike McDaniel, I'm done. Tua, I'm done. And I don't care how this has to happen. You can fire McDaniel tomorrow. You can fire him in week next week. I don't care. Thursday night, the miscues. Every week, miscues. This week, how tonight, how many major now I'm going to give them a pass here on one of them. They called Ollie Gordon for a low block on what would have been a massive play to Jalen Waddle, and he got called for tripping when it's clear and obvious Ollie Gordon slips and falls. Now, by the way, I'm going to berate the officials on that one. It's clear and obvious. I got the guy from NBC on Prime telling me that's a bad call. Where is New York? I thought New York had a thought in this. Nah, New York's not good. They're not going to do it. They're not going to call down. They think it's a penalty. It was such, and you could look at it in the minuscule game and go, wasn't that big of a call? It's a massive call. Do I know if the Dolphins score? No. I quite frankly don't know. They probably don't because they were 0 for 3 in the red zone, 5 times inside the Baltimore 30 or 35, and they came away with 6 freaking points. Nice to see Nick Whisper-Kikini making an appearance in the second half. Where was he on that fourth down play where you're throwing a fade to Devon Achane of all freaking people? I'm going to give the defense some credit. The defense played its ass off in the first half. Contained Lamar as best as they could. Contained Derrick Henry as best as they could. They gave up 1 touchdown in the first half. I'm not even going to give Baltimore them grief on the first touchdown because you know what happened? Taj Washington fumbles inside of his own 15-yard line, and Baltimore goes right down. And by the way, 4th down. It took Lamar 4 downs to get a touchdown. Tua's playing with 0 confidence when he should have been at the top of Mount Confidence this week. He should have been on top of the mountain in terms of confidence based on what he did against Atlanta. And you know what? He wasn't confident. How many balls were behind Jalen Waddle? How many balls were behind Achane? Or did he just throw it into the ground? This team is so frustrating because you look at the schedule and they had some games coming up that were winnable. They have winnable games. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to lose these games. And they're going to win one randomly. This team is awful. This team needs a wake-up call. Tuesday's a trade deadline. Bradley Chubb played I thought, a pretty good game tonight. I thought he was if he wasn't the best Dolphin on the field, he was second best. He's probably gone. Jalen Phillips, when I need a play, he doesn't make it. He's gone. Anybody left with 1 year, Minkah Fitzpatrick, trade him. I don't care. This thing needs to get from top to bottom. This team needs a change. The GM, Chris Greer, I'm not sure I want him making these decisions in April on who to draft and who to bring in free agency. Not sure I want that. Forget this head coach. I'm done with this head coach. It was cute. It was creative. It was awesome the first 2 years. It's been exposed and he hasn't adjusted to it. I want him and the quarterback. The quarterback has no confidence. And let me be brutally honest right now. The AFC for the next, I don't know, 5 to 7 years, it's going to be owned. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Burrow when he's healthy. Lamar showed what he could do tonight. Drake May. What do all those guys have in common? They have three things in common: big arms, escapability, and they are extremely talented. I'm not sitting here saying Tua is not talented. I don't think that's fair to say Tua is not talented, but he's not the answer. And if the Dolphins are going to have to eat cap space to get rid of him, then by all means. Do I know who's a part of the solution? I think there's a couple guys. I think Patrick Paul on the offensive line is a part of the solution. I think Aaron Brewer could be part of the solution on the offensive line. Outside of that, I don't know. Jalen Waddle, he's a part of the solution. Devon Achane, he's part of the solution. Ollie Gordon, he's a part of the solution. In my opinion. Defensively, Kenneth Grant is a part of the solution. Is Bradley Chubb a part of the solution? I don't know. I don't know. But if he can fetch me something at the trade deadline, hey, I'm not afraid of it. Jalen Phillips will fetch me something at the trade deadline. This was embarrassing. You are booed every time your offense either hits the field or leaves the field. You are now a 2-7 football team. 2-7 football team. Let me just tell you this. Here's where you're in the class of. Pulling up the standings of the league right now on the ESPN app. It's a little slow. National Football League standings. There are three teams with a worse record than the Dolphins. The New Orleans Saints, who are turning to a rookie quarterback. The Tennessee Titans, who had the number one pick last year. They've already fired their coach. And the Jets, who you almost lost to at home. The Giants, who will play Sunday. Cleveland, who will play Sunday. And Cleveland beat the pants off of you a couple of weeks ago. This organization has failed. Stephen Ross has failed. Tua has failed. McDaniel has failed. Chris Greer has failed. And how do we get reward with the failure? This team hasn't won a damn playoff game in 25 years. The Jets were in the AFC title game 13 years ago. I'm sorry, 15 years ago. And they're supposed to be the laughing stock of the league. Hey, they've won a playoff game more recently than the Dolphins. The Raiders have won a playoff game more recently than the Dolphins. Any team you want to think of that you could say, that's the laughing stock. No, it's not true. It's not true. The Dolphins are a laughing stock. They haven't won jack in 25 years. They haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1984, where George Orwell was there. I don't know if that's true or not. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 1973. And we sit here today, 28-6, against a really good Baltimore team. Let me be frank. Baltimore was my pick early in the season, or before the season, to win the Super Bowl. But right now, the Baltimore Ravens are one of the class teams. They're at the top of the heap in terms of organization success. The Dolphins are at the bottom. And whether it's drafting players, signing free agents, whatever the hell it is, something needs to change. My fear is it won't because Stephen Ross has allowed failure. And the fact that week after week after week, Dolphin fans have to sit and watch embarrassment. Stephen Ross should be ashamed of what he saw tonight. Mike McDaniel should be ashamed of what he put out there tonight. And those players should be ashamed of how they performed tonight on offense. Taj Washington with a bad fumble. Larry Borum with an awful false start penalty. Riley Patterson misses a field goal. Hey, I know. Let's throw a fade to Devon Achane in the end zone. Why do we sign Nick Westbrook-Ikhine if he's not gonna play till the game's a blowout? This isn't a depth issue. This isn't a personnel issue. They were unprepared as usual. They were undisciplined as usual. And they put up a pathetic performance. Man, I feel like this is kind of like a Steve Dangle video. It's frustrating. Being a Dolphin fan is frustrating. Let me say this again. I don't normally do this stuff, but I wanted to get some thoughts out. I think people needed to hear this. But you know what? Look, as much as we'll talk way more about Sunday morning on the Sunday Satellite Report. You know, Wishbone, which should be up tomorrow. I covered some of this, but this team needs to blow it up. Your keepers basically are Waddle and Achane, and whoever you think is a helper on defense. And it's you got to start fresh. And ironically enough, I think it's a very good time if you want to start over with what Josh Allen does in Buffalo because he kills you. Drake May looks like New England's back on track. You can hit a little bit of an organizational reset right now, and I think the fan base. I'm not going to say they're gonna be okay with it, but I think an organizational reset is something that should be thought of, and it should be thought of smartly. The question is Stephen Ross confident enough that Greer and McDaniel are good enough to do it? I don't think they are. I don't. All right. That'll do it for this rare Thursday night post game show. Sunday morning, myself, the old ops guy. Not sure if we have Dan, but we'll be live for Sunday Sideline Report. Preview everything that's going on Sunday. Probably talk a little bit about the trade deadline also, which will be November 4th. Everyone have a fantastic Halloween. You can like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube page. Click the bell thing for notification. Find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on the socials, Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, Insanity Real. You follow me personally, Twitter, Punmaster Rifkin, same name on Blue Sky. Everyone have a great Halloween. Get your candy. Get some candy corn because candy corn is awesome. And I'll talk to you Sunday morning as we get ready for Sunday Sideline Report.